Atlantis, the creation of the electromagnetic grid was the greatest spiritual accomplishment ever completed on this planet. It exemplified the highest human thought forms of love, interfacing with Mother Earth. The primary purposes of the electromagnetic grid were to connect the spiritual light bodies of individuals and supply a free and unending amount of energy to those who were connected to it. This was done by synchronizing brainwave patterns to the currents of energy emitted by thoughts that were linked with the heart centers of individuals. Thus, frequencies were created that were connected directly to the higher selves and consequently the divine plan. As a result, Earth's grid lines and the auric frequencies of individuals were clarified and purified, for all are connected in the macrocosm, microcosm. In Atlantis, an etheric energy matrix existed beneath the Earth's surface, providing a lattice network for such activities as telepathic communication and healing. This matrix was known as a grid, which is defined as a network of uniformly spaced horizontal and vertical bars or lines, especially one for locating points and placed over a map, chart, or a building plan. This grid was a system of electromagnetic frequencies created through worldwide linkages made by human thought waves and energy transmitted by the Earth and through crystals. The system followed a carefully designed global plan that was obviously intelligently thought out and detailed. It embodied the study and form of geomancy, which means the divination of lines drawn at random. This electromagnetic grid existed for centuries and supported the higher dimensional existence of the Atlanteans. It enabled life to exist in a higher form on the planet. It was an empowering system situated several feet beneath the Earth's surface. The electromagnetic grid was built by the thrice greatest geomancer and master of Earth, known as Hermes Trismegistus, and the high priest and priestesses of Atlantis, who came to Earth to build a great civilization for this part of the galaxy. The intricate landscaping produced by their efforts to connect the heavens to Earth was completed in cooperation with the Elohim and the Diva kingdoms. It was based on the Hermetic principles that form the basis for all manifestation. These principles are included in the universal laws. The effect of this grid ultimately was to connect humans to the Earth through the power of the Spirit. Since the energy field created by these steps aligned with a higher frequency or spiritual attunement, this frequency automatically connected to Earth's light network called Christ consciousness, another term for the God force. This created a web of light resembling a massive brain and nervous system, signaling and connecting the physical world to the etheric existence of the higher self. In this way, a highly evolved spiritual telecommunication system was created that could be used by all who had reached an enlightened state of consciousness. Since there were so many awakened individuals in Atlantis who were connected to the God force, it was relatively easy to bridge connections of thought, mind, and heart to the higher selves. All individuals who walked the earth with their third eyes open were connected to this energy field, because the resonance patterns of the third eye equal that of Christ consciousness. Hermes and other beings of light first implanted celestial crystals within the etheric bodies of the high priest and priestesses, and then within those of the light workers of the hierarchy. These crystals contain symbolic and geometric coding from the universal language of light that sent out frequencies to connect signals emanating from points of light. This effort formed lines of light radiating from their etheric bodies, which connected to the earth, forming the illuminated web of divine energy. To determine which crystals would be implanted within the etheric bodies, the high priest and priestesses were matched using a selection process that assured compatibility to other souls. Matching was completed based upon membership of the individual soul group, an array upon which each entered embodiment. Crystals that match select criteria were then implanted etherically within the lower 8 bodies of these high initiates. After all etheric coding was completed, Hermes' team then positioned crystals, primarily clear quartz, although other stones such as rose quartz and amethyst were also used beneath the Earth's surface. This step connected the high priest and priestesses who carried the etheric implants to the electromagnetic energies emitted from the crystals buried beneath the Earth. Individuals were then charged accordingly with a higher current of energy and eventually sent around the world, connecting designated points to sacred sites. Connections were accomplished by touch and also by the physical presence of the high priest and priestesses, because their auras emitted energy rays that were higher than those of the other citizens of Atlantis. These select emissaries of the divine journeyed to various lands and sites. Each time they visited foreign places, the currents of energy were made stronger. Throughout the centuries, this process strengthened the ley lines, making them nearly impenetrable. The light traveling through these lines was so pure and radiant that mystics in higher depths could see them with their third eyes. Earth's radiance could be tracked by celestial beings in the heavens, and all who resided on this frequency used this grid for higher purposes. This grid truly connected the heavens to earth and formed a perfect oneness. Consequently, peace, love, and light abounded everywhere, for all of these attributes were connected to the divine plan. That was the state of affairs when Atlantis was in its glory. But as history often reveals, things began to change. Certain individuals, not of the priesthood, began to rise to power and change the systems, which resulted in disaster. In time, Atlantis fell, and when it did, many of these greatest accomplishments were buried with the land underneath the ocean floor. Reports such as those written by Plato reveal that Atlantis was magnificent during its height and glory. Some of the survivors, who were the keepers of this sacred knowledge of geomancy, settled in Egypt and the Yucatan, keeping a portion of the mysteries and knowledge alive. That is why these civilizations were able to rise to great heights. Other souls drifted off into the deep sleep, holding the sacred information within their Akashic records, until a time when history would reveal that the souls of the high priest and priestesses would reincarnate to rebuild Atlantis in the form of the 7th Golden Age. That time is now. The high priest and priestesses from Atlantis have risen. The souls of these beings who ruled Atlantis have reincarnated and presently are remembering what this electromagnetic grid was about and what it stands for. Even now, they are traveling the world, creating a new grid matrix for Earth. Atlantis is rising, just as the great sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce prophesied decades ago. This time, the purpose of the priesthood is to assist Earth to enter the 5th dimension. For the past several years, these souls representing the Order of Melchizedek have been actively involved in establishing a new electromagnetic grid, situated this time not under the Earth, but approximately 3 to 4 feet above its surface. Much of the old grid has been destroyed or desecrated, making it virtually unusable for the new world that is coming. Therefore, sacred sites are being created all over the world as energy fields to support the new matrix. Rainbow energy fields are slowly emerging from Earth's crystalline structures deep below its surface. Gaia is awakening and moving out of the slumber into a heightened state of consciousness. As more and more souls choose to receive the universal language of light, programming from etheric crystals implanted within the lower 8 bodies, assurances arise that the New Jerusalem is emerging on Earth, and humans are the co-creators of this celestial temple. Soon, the new electromagnetic grid will be complete. When this occurs, The etheric cosmic doors that emerge will create entrance and exit points that facilitate interdimensional travel. Communication with the gods, just as in Atlantis, will become business as usual, and all who earn the higher vibrational frequency, connected with the higher self, will have access to this communications channeled network. Since Atlantis fell, the Order of Melchizedek periodically has sent to Earth some of its finest members who have incarnated to assist humanity to evolve. This was especially important during the Dark Ages, when consciousness was at its lowest. Usually only one soul embodied at a time, but occasionally they would incarnate in groups, supporting each other on an important mission, such as mass enlightenment, a great invention, or literary work had to be completed. Every time they embodied, these souls were so pure that they could remember how to connect to the Order's membership remaining on the etheric, or the Ascended Masters. They would do so for the purpose of channeling great works, writings, and legacies for humanity's benefit and growth. One need only review history to read the names of these great masters who came to Earth. Souls like Pythagoras, Socrates, Plato, Hippocrates, Athena, and Akhenaten, Isis, Jesus, Mother Mary, the Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, Shakespeare, Solomon, Moses, Sai Baba, Gandhi, and Kuan Yin are only a few who were sent to Earth by the Order. Jesus is called Melchizedek King in the Scriptures because of his purity and perfect mastery of the laws. The Order of Melchizedek has been guiding Earth's development from the beginning of time and will continue to do so in the future. Today, the Order is providing instruction and assistance to all who have the hearts to hear. It teaches individuals how to be free of limitations and pain, thus ending the struggle to evolve. The Age of Aquarius has promised this. It has been written, so shall it be done. Hermes has returned too, and once again is directing the establishment of the new electromagnetic grid that is destined to surround the Earth. The new matrix will be likened to a tuning fork as it vibrates and connects the higher consciousness of humans all over the world. It will facilitate the development of the Adam Cabinet, or the emergence of the new human, who is destined to walk the face of the Earth in the 7th Golden Age. Just as when Atlantis exited, conditions on Earth and in the universe are synchronized once again to support this endeavor. It has taken over 10,000 years for this higher frequency to be reached, because the heavens have not been able to experience such an alignment until now. This perfect alignment has called forth the Great One himself to direct this miraculous project. The electromagnetic grid is not intended to be part of a new religion. Instead, it is being created to develop humanity's potential by linking higher consciousness centers to the Christos energy. The grid will create a web of light and focused human consciousness vibrating on wavelengths that use the universal language of light to transmit messages. It will be the super highway of evolution in the years to come. Some of the uses for the electromagnetic grid would be to send love, to heal oneself and others, to increase telepathic powers and open the third eyes of initiates on the path of enlightenment, would be to link the world and concept of oneness and to send support to others. It will increase the soul's ability to do soul travel, to access the universal language of light, to increase manifestation powers for self and others, and to empower individuals. It will be used to strengthen the Earth's magnetic field in the light and support spiritual development, linking humanity with Mother Earth. It will also be used to contact the celestial command, including the angels. The universal language of light contains 144,000 geometric symbols. It is the frequency coding that humans need to transcend third-dimensional thinking. It comes to us to our own higher selves and filters down to our lower 8 bodies. This language carries the divine blueprint for our individual missions that replaces the will of the ego with the will of God. These geometric symbols presently are being encoded into human consciousness and our etheric bodies. This is being completed by the celestial hierarchy with all who have given permission to have it done. Coding resides on various wavelengths so that individuals receive only the symbolic coding that matches their levels of consciousness. The lower the consciousness, the fewer the codes that can be downloaded. The higher the consciousness, the more the codes that are implanted. The more symbols that one receives, the more responsibility for world service he or she is given in fulfillment of the divine plan. The goal for Earth's ascension into the fifth dimension is to connect as many light workers to the grid as possible. We are connected to the grid through the solar plexus area. We can focus our energy, meditate on the light, and send and receive important messages, energies, and manifestations. The electromagnetic grid is an instrument of peace and cooperation in love, and will be used to build this kind of world in the coming millennium. It cannot be misused because one must reside on a higher frequency to use it. No one residing on a lower frequency will be able to connect to it. When a person evolves to a higher level of consciousness, he or she will be incapable of inflicting harm, for the soul's new vibrational frequency will carry an agenda that no longer supports the lower behaviors. The importance of the electromagnetic grid is that it provides light workers everywhere a tool for sending and receiving information and energies that can result in manifestations to serve the move toward the fifth dimension. Consciousness. With the mention of consciousness, the description of our universe takes a dramatic turn. We know consciousness exists because we have it. Consciousness is more than thinking. In consciousness, we are aware of our thinking. Yet few physicists attempt to confront the everyday reality of human self-awareness because it cannot be perceived directly by the five ordinary senses. They subsequently ignore evidence of so-called paranormal abilities, including an anomalous result of telepathy and psychokinesis that show specific characteristics of a fifth and/or sixth force. As human beings, we elaborate our individual experience of consciousness through physical senses, but we are keenly aware that we are more than they reveal. Where did conscious intent come from? How does it work? Does it have to inhabit matter at all? Another theory, that of hyperspace, which posits up to 6 dimensions beyond our 4-dimensional version of the universe, leaves room for a scientific incorporation of consciousness into a descriptive model. Any comprehensive theory of the universe must take into account the role of mind or consciousness. Stephen Hawking and others believe our everyday world can be accounted for by a limited number of basic physical laws, like a theoretical spider web amid which nature is delicately hung. Thus far, their information and formulation of laws is not as comprehensive as the Hermetic principles, which do provide for conscious intent in the patents of creation. The Hermetic principles, named after legendary personality Hermes Trismegistus, meaning thrice great, have been known and articulated in esoteric scientific circles for more than 5,000 years. For many centuries, the term Hermeticism was inappropriately associated only with alchemy, or the alleged transmutation of metals into gold. By focusing purely on the material realm, such references obscure the deeper mental, energetic, and spiritual meanings of this ancient wisdom. Today, the term hermetic has come to mean secret or sealed, as in the term hermetically sealed. Hermes Trismegistus, identified by some as the god Thoth, was one of the wise beings who shared knowledge and insight with the pre-pharaonic Egyptians. Hermes is considered by many to be the source of the basic teachings that infused all the highly intellectual, esoteric traditions of the Egyptians, Greeks, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, and Christians. A few learned initiates gathered the insights and passed them on discernibly over the centuries to those deemed ready for the teachings. During the Inquisition and other periods of religious persecution, it was dangerous to reveal one's belief in an alternate reality. Consequently, most of the understanding was lost on the masses, as well as the scholars and students of the modern era. The 7 Hermetic principles are mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. Although they can appear to be simple and mundane that the casual readers won't skim them lightly, they may actually be far more reaching than the basic assumptions of Newtonian mechanics or quantum physics. The current works of various frontier scientists and grounded metaphysicians is confirming the validity of these concepts. We can now begin to test them in an integrated way to determine their application to all dimensions of our universe.
In the beginning was the Word, the Word, the Word. In the beginning was the Word. The Hermetic Principles. Number 1, mentalism, 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 mentalism.
The principle of mentalism is reflected in the biblical quotation, "In the beginning was the Word." Ultimately, all external reality is based on idea or concept. In the context of quantum physics, mentalism means the physical world can be reduced to patterns of potential connections among potential concentrations of matter energy that might or might not come into form, depending upon the introduction of consciousness. 20th century physicists and consciousness researchers are thus on the edge of unraveling the implications of mentalism that Hermetic initiates have known all along. Now anyone can grasp its meaning. The basic force in the universe is mental.
Hermetic principle number 2, correspondence, 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 correspondence.
The principle of correspondence, as above, so below, means that one can infer the nature of distant realms from local experience. The dynamics of cells are parallel to the dynamics of galaxies. Just as a small laboratory or computer program can simulate the behavior of stars billions of light years away, the consciousness of an individual being can confer with the ultimate consciousness that existed when there was only the Word. This principle ensures, for example, that humans need not dread exposure to the idea of, say, extraterrestrials. They are derived from the same universal consciousness.
Hermetic principle number 3, vibration, vibration, vibration.
The primordial sound, Om, indicates the principle of vibration, which asserts that everything is in continual motion, is now a basic tenet of science. Subatomic particles are continually moving in relation to each other in every concentration of energy and mass in the universe. The patterns of vibration occur in all manifestations, from dense stone to gaseous molecules to the thoughts and emotions of human beings. We have intuitively grasped the validity of this principle. We get good vibes about this or that. When we are on different frequencies with someone, we can wind down or increase the tension, thereby moving a situation to a congruent level of vibration.
Hermetic principle. Number 4. Polarity, 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 polarity.
The principle of polarity embodies the truth that two seeming opposites are in truth complements that differ only in degree, the obverse and reverse sides of the same coin. This principle applies in all realms. Photoparticles are inextricably linked in pairs, with each as either the positive or negative aspect of the other. Hot and cold are but different aspects of the same temperature gradient. Any characteristic in nature, cosmic experience, has its own gradient, large and small, high and low, black and white, sharp and dull, male or female. Where does each pole end and the other begin? What about the shades of good and evil? The crucial point here is that all such polarities are only different vibrations on the same continuum. One can be transmuted into the other, employing the principle of polarity.
Hermetic principle. Number 5. Rhythm, rhythm, rhythm.
The principle of rhythm means that everything manifests itself in a pattern of to and fro, up and down, in and out. The movement in one direction is always compensated for by a return. For every action, there is a reaction, and for every advance, there is a retreat. The principle applies in all the affairs of the cosmos, stars, beings, mind, energy, and matter. It works in the interactions within a plane and in communications between dimensions. Over time, the rhythms result in spiraling shapes that characterize much of the universe. Understanding of the dynamics of this principle makes it possible to mitigate some of its more extreme effects. We can recognize that fatigue followed by rest leads to renewed energy. Anger gives way to remorse, and pain succumbs to release. By being aware of the rhythms, one is less likely to resist their flow, thereby reducing the buildup of extremes.
Hermetic principle number 6. Cause and effect.
The principle of cause and effect is more commonly known by its ordinary meaning, X acts on Y and causes Z. From the Hermetic perspective, to say each effect has many causes is more accurate. This multi-level reality is epitomized by Carl Jung's use of the word synchronicity to describe events that, though outward appearing to occur by chance, are actually the inner workings of one or more cosmic laws. Indeed, all events are at some level the working of cosmic law. What we attribute by chance is usually an event whose governing law is not evident. True chance or randomness probably occurs only at the level of quantum gaps, where there is a true break between past and future. The Hindu concept of karma is an illustration of the principle of cause and effect, as is the Christian admonition, as you sow, so shall you reap. Human societies are only now learning the dramatic effect of this principle in ecological systems. Now, humankind must become more aware of cosmic law in the realm of consciousness, and its role as conscious co-creators of the universe.
Hermetic principle number 7. Gender, gender, gender.
Gender, the last Hermetic principle, has remained the most obscure because we tend to equate gender with primary physical sex characteristics. However, every being and every plane in the cosmos contain dual elements of yin and yang, feminine and masculine. The term gender recognizes the complementariness within all self-contained units of the universe. Even in apparent single-sexed entities, one aspect is the receptive nurturer, while another is the expressing creator. The principle of gender itself obeys the principles of polarity and rhythm. in one circumstance manifesting the masculine aspect, and in another the feminine. Neither is ever totally absent. In space-time, balance is assured. Fully aware cosmic beings seek harmony in living their dual nature. Gender, honoring the ebb and flow of rhythm called for by the organic developments in self, society, solar system, and cosmos. These 7 Hermetic principles are simple keys to the mysteries of matter, energy, spirit, mind, and consciousness. They can open the gateways through which a profound transformation of conscious life becomes possible. The Solarian legacy is an argument for undertaking such a journey, demonstrating that transformation on the mental and energetic planes will have immediate consequences in the material realm. Not one principle stands alone. All affect each other in a mode of reciprocation, thereby assuring the cohesion and unity of the multifaceted universe.